All right, seventh graders, this is to help you with question 5 on CR 14. It says if 2/5 n plus 4 equals 20, what is the value of n? Okay, you've been solving two-step equations. So let's solve this two-step equation. The first thing we want to do when we're going to solve a two-step equation is move all constants, those numbers without the x's attached, to, I'm going to say in this case, to the right side of the equal sign. It's always to one side of the equal sign, but move all constants to the right side of the equal sign. And we do that by undo the addition or subtraction. So let's take a look at that. All right, so if we have 2/5 n plus 4 equals 20, our first step is to move this constant of 4 over to the right-hand side of the equal sign. Give this over to the right side of the equal sign. And we do that by undoing this addition. What's the opposite of addition? The opposite of addition is subtraction. So in order to zero out this 4 here, I have to subtract 4. If I subtract 4 here, that will zero out, which gets me towards my goal of isolating n all by itself on one side. But in an equation, if I'm going to subtract 4 from the left side of the equal sign, I must subtract 4 from the right side of the equal sign. That way the equality remains. 4 minus 4, those zero out. We don't even write that in because our goal is to get n by itself on one side. So now I have my 2/5 n by itself on one side equals 20 minus 4 is 16. You actually did these problems back in 6th grade. So even though this says it's a 7th grade standard, because we only have positives running around, you learned this in 6th grade, I promise you. So this is a nice review. Step 2 is to get your coefficient. I don't know if I spelled coefficient right. I don't know if it has 2 F's. I feel like it doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Get the coefficient on the variable to be a 1. And in order to do that, we will undo multiplication or division. And that will get the variable all by itself on one side, and that's the goal for solving an equation. So I look here and I say, what's the operation between the 2/5 and the n? Oh, no operation appears, so I know it must be multiplication. So it's 2/5 times n. How do I undo multiplication? I undo multiplication with division. In 7th grade, I use a fraction bar to show that division. So what do I have to divide n by to get it all by itself? I divide by whatever the coefficient of n had been. I'm going to divide the left side of this equal sign by 2/5. If I'm going to divide the left side by 2/5, I must divide the right side of my equal sign by 2/5. And you'll notice I'm using the fraction bar. Never are you going to see your 7th grade teachers use the division symbol here to go ahead and divide when solving equations. We always use the fraction bar. Okay, what's 2/5 divided by 2/5? Oh, that's a fancy form of 1. What's 1 times n? 1 times n is just n. Equals, now on this side I got some work to do. So I'm going to do a little scrap off to the side. I have to do 16 divided by 2/5. 16 divided by 2/5, as 6th graders, you would keep, change, flip. You'd keep the 16. You'd change your division to multiplication, and you'd flip over that second fraction. That's our standard algorithm. Lots of ways to go about it, but this is one way. 16 is the same as 16 over 1. Multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom. What's 16 times 5? 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5, and 3, that's 80. So this is 80 over 2, or 80 divided by 2, which is 40. 80 divided by 2 is 40. So n is 40 is my correct answer. Now on your test, you'll actually have to show a check. So I'm going to show my check here. To show my check, I write my original. 2/5 times n plus 4 equals 20. You rewrite your original equation. You then substitute 40 in place of n. So I have 2/5 times 40 plus 4 equals 20. I'm now going to simplify the left side of my equal sign and hope I get 20. Ooh, if I do, then I'll know my original value for n was correct. So 2/5 times 40. 40 is the same as 40 over 1. 2 times 40 is 80. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 4. I'm hoping that will equal 20. Well, 80 divided by 5, I know 5 times 16 got me 80. So 80 divided by 5 is 16. I'm hoping 16 plus 4 is 20. And what is 16 plus 4? 16 plus 4 is 20. 20 equals 20. Check, check. That means my actual value I got for n, that 40, is totally correct. All right, I hope that helps.